You've been searching for the best way to generate passive income in your life and heard that real estate is a great way to do it. But you're tired of all the so-called gurus who are all talk and no substance. Get ready to celebrate because Kevin Bupp has spent 14 years successfully making it happen. This is the Real Estate Investing for Cash Flow podcast. Now, here's Kevin Bupp.
Hey guys, Kevin Bupp here again. I hope you're having an awesome week, and I hope you're as excited as I am about the guest that we're going to have on our show today. Today we're going to be speaking with David Lindle. And David has a very interesting story. Number one, he's considered by some as the guru of apartment investing. And he's been doing this for like 10 years and literally went from being a broke landscaper 10 years ago. He owned a small landscaping company, working day to day, just huffing and puffing and breaking his back to make his next meal and to make his next rent payment. He decided one day, hey, I'm done with this. I need to do something better with my life. And from that point that he made that decision, he made that determination, he was going to make a change. It's been 10 years. And in that 10 years, he's amassed a real estate portfolio of 7,000 plus apartment units, and along with multiple other commercial real estate investment properties. And in our interview today with David, you're going to learn the following items. Number one, you're going to learn why apartments will get you rich and single-family homes will make you broke. Number two, you're going to learn how David went from broke to owning 7,000 plus apartments in just 10 years. Three, you're going to learn how to determine where the best markets are to invest in. There's always good markets, there's always up markets, there's always down markets. The entire country doesn't run on the same cycle, so David's going to talk to us about how he identifies hot emerging markets. Number four, you're going to learn the 4 different phases of a market cycle. Number 5, you're going to learn why all multifamily units aren't created equal and how not to get stuck with a dog that's going to make you broke. Number 6, you're going to learn why brokers are your friend, and you should make them your best friend when searching for deals to buy because they're going to be the ones that bring you those great pocket listings. And many more things that we're going to discuss on today's show, but those are the kind of highlights I wanted to point out for you in the beginning here. But before we get on to the interview with David, just really wanted to talk to you a little bit about my week. You're going to notice on each one of these shows that we do, I'd like to give you kind of a recap on my previous week and what's happening in my real estate investing career. And this past week has been very, very active. I've been very busy. We've actually created a direct mailing campaign. We've done a lot of direct mailing campaigns in the past to find property to buy, and we're really ramping it back up. So I've spent the past week, devoted a lot of my last week focusing on this new direct mailing campaign that we're going to be doing here in the Florida market. And we're going to be focusing on apartment buildings 12 units or larger, and also mobile home parks that are 20 units or larger. And we're going to be covering the entire state of Florida. We're going to be sending about 1,500 mailers a week, handwritten or hand-addressed envelopes with a letter inside stating our interest in the owner's property. And so that's taken up a lot of my time, just organizing that, finding someone that can handwrite all of our envelopes for us. We do all handwritten envelopes. We don't do postcards. I've got a lot of experience with direct mailing, and what I found is the open rate is much higher when it's hand addressed and it has a normal stamp on it. We normally use number 10 envelopes, white envelopes, and we've had great success with that. So just we hired a person to kind of organize and get this mailing campaign on track for us. So we're looking forward to it and can't wait to start getting our phone ringing off the hook with great deals. So second update is the Atlanta deal that we're working on, the mobile home park that I've talked to you about on the past few episodes. All is going well. We're almost done with our due diligence. Our money goes hard this week. So we're going to close on this thing. We're due to close the second week of February. I don't have the exact date in front of me here, but we are due to close the second week of February. So I'm super pumped about that. I think that's going to be a home run deal for us, and I really, really can't see how we can lose. So I'll keep you updated as things progress. And a little update on books that I'm reading. I didn't do this in the past couple episodes, but I really like to. I do a ton of reading. I'm always reading, and I read almost all nonfiction. In fact, I can say that I read all nonfiction. I love business books. I love continuing education. and just bettering myself. So what I've kind of bought an interesting read on Amazon a week and a half ago. I bought a book called A Master Guide to Income Property Brokerage. And as you know, I'm not a real estate broker, nor do I intend to be. But my thoughts on this is, number one, this is one of the best books out there for new brokers into the business, trying to understand the commercial real estate brokerage side of the business. And so what I thought is, real estate brokers have to become masters of prospecting. Their goal is to list commercial properties and sell commercial properties. So I figured that they have to master that art just as we do as investors. We have to master the art of finding great deals and building relationships with property owners and negotiation tactics, so on and so forth. So I've been reading through this book. There's some great information in here, and the author's name is John Peckham. He's a CCIM and has multiple other designations as well in the commercial real estate field. But it's a great book, and I'm learning a ton from it. And last but not least, before we get on with this week's interview, I like you guys. You know, this podcast is nothing without you listeners, and I'd really like your feedback. And I'd love for you to tell me if there's any particular topics you'd like to hear me discuss, or if there's any experts that you'd like us to have on the show. Shoot me an email to kevin@kevinbupp.com. Again, kevin@kevinbupp.com, and let me know if there is a particular topic that you'd like me to cover, or we'll try. If you have someone in mind that you'd like us to get on and interview, we'll definitely do our best to get that person on the show and do an interview session with them. And one more thing on the laundry list of items I have here before we get on with the interview is I really just want to reiterate the goals of this podcast. You know, our goal with this whole thing is to bring you the industry experts who are really making it happen in the commercial real estate investing space. We're very particular about who we have on the show. We don't just allow anyone on the show. They must be vetted prior to us accepting an interview request. So all these interviews you're hearing, our previous interviews and also interviews as we move forward, these are all going to be guys that I vetted. They're really out there making it happen. They're investing now. They own properties now. They're not just people that are out there teaching theory. There's a lot of real estate investment training programs out there on the market, and what I found is a lot of those teachers or trainers, really, that's all they are. They're teachers and trainers. They really aren't active real estate investors. So we'll never, ever have one of those people on the show. So just wanted to reassure you of that. And another goal of this podcast is just to bring you resources that will help you in your investing career. So if there's a website, if there's a book, if there's something that I run across that's become very valuable to me on a day-to-day basis, I will definitely give you that resource or let you know what that website is so that you can use it as well. And last but not least is to act as your mentor and kind of an investment liaison who will listen and answer any questions that you have. I've been doing this for quite some time. I don't know everything. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I've done a lot of deals, and I've had some great deals. I've had some bad deals, and I've had a lot of in between. But I am very active, and I'd be more than happy to help you out if you're just getting started, or if you're kind of stumped with something, or if you're making a transition from single family into commercial, and you have just a basic question or even a detailed question. Please go on my website. I made this just for you guys to use. On my website, go to kevinbupp.com. On the right-hand side, you'll see a red button that says Leave Voicemail. Click that, and it will allow you to actually leave a voicemail directly from your computer. And go ahead and ask any question you have for me, and I'd be more than happy to either answer you directly. I'll answer it on the show, but no matter what, you'll get an answer from me. And I'm just here to help you guys out. I want you to succeed. I had a mentor when I was getting started in the business, and I'd love to help you in any way I possibly can. And without further ado, I'd like to move on to our interview with David Lindle. Show, we're thrilled to be joined by who some consider the guru of apartment investing, Dave Lindahl. Dave has a unique story. He started out, I guess you could call it blue collar. He started out as a kind of a broke landscaper, 10, 11 years ago, and
broke.
Yeah, right, kind of. Okay, you were a broke landscaper. Well, he started out completely broke. I mean, he was digging in his couch cushions for pennies to go buy ramen noodles, and just decided that he was sick of doing that, and just kind of had the fits with it, and decided he needed to do something different with his life. So
he got out and started studying real estate, and within a year, he built up a $10,000 per month income stream by investing in multifamily type properties. So from that point on, he successfully rehabbed over 820 houses. Current to date, he owns over 7,000 apartment doors that he solely owns and manages. He's the 2-time best-selling author, 2 great books. One's called The Emerging Real Estate Markets, and another one's called Multifamily Millions. I've read both of them. They're just filled with fantastic content on these topics of multifamily investing. He's also partnered with the Donald Trump organization to write his 3rd book, which is Commercial Real Estate Investing 101. He's the founder of rementor.com, which is a website that provides training and resources for those looking to succeed in the multifamily investment niche. And, Dave, I'm sure I haven't done you full justice on your background and your resume, so if you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes just kind of telling our audience a little bit more about yourself and your background and how you got involved in this world of multifamily real estate investing.
Sure. I can tell you, I can tell you the story. I started just a couple of things. I'm not sure you heard me break in, but I've actually written 5 books now.
5? Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know those other 2. Would you mind? I mean, what are the other 2 that you have that I didn't mention?
One of them is my 5 books are Emerging Real Estate Markets, Multifamily Millions, the book I did with Trump, which was Commercial Real Estate Investing 101, and then I wrote this book called 6-Figure Second Income, and that one actually is not about real estate. It's all about how to make money with doing the things that you love, which I do it with real estate, and I do it with teaching people how to do real estate. So I did that, and then I've got another one called Investing in Your Own Backyard, How to Flip Houses in Today's Market.
Okay. So
those are the 5.
Fantastic.
Yeah, well, I got to see my mom. My mom introduced me now as her son, the author.
That's awesome. Well, I'll have to go on Amazon now, or once we're done with this call here, and get those other 2 books. I didn't realize you had those other 2, so my apologies. But thanks for bringing that up.
Hey, so I get started by, it really is a rags to riches story. When I was 16 years old, I joined a rock and roll band. I was in that band until I was about 23, 24. Really tried to make it. We did a lot of gigs. We had a lot of fun. Have a lot of great memories. But I realized I probably wasn't going to make it in rock and roll. And I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in this 2-family property just south of Boston, Massachusetts, and life was a struggle. Life back then, I come from a very blue-collar family, so even growing up, life was a struggle. But we might have been poor with money, but we certainly weren't poor in terms of love, affection, and all that, because I come from a very close family. And my mom was a fish cutter on the fish piers of Boston for over 27 years.
Wow.
I worked 2 jobs to support us. I got 2 brothers and a sister. And I come from a family where I had 12 cousins living within a half a mile of us. So,
oh, my gosh. So very, very tight-knit family.
Yeah, it was great. So when I left that band when I was 24, I just kept tired of struggling all the time. I figured I got to do something to create a better life for myself. And I always heard that either if you got to make money, you either have to own something or you have to sell something. So I started looking around as to, different things to do, and I thought, well, I could start a landscaping company. That's easy. I could borrow my father's mower. I could go door to door to see if anybody that had high grass. I'd drive the neighborhoods and ask them if I could mow their lawns. And that's what I did. First year I had 41 accounts. It worked out pretty good. It worked out pretty good for me. Really good, I thought. Until the winter came. And then no more mowing. And in Boston, the winter comes almost 5 months out of the year. So no mowing then. Any money that I made during the good season, it was spent trying to survive during the winter. I did some plowing. I did odd jobs. And a couple of winters goes by, and I get into my second winter, and a friend of mine who works for a bank realizes that, gosh, my friend Dave, he's struggling. Maybe he said to me, maybe you could do some rehab for this property that the bank just foreclosed on. And back then, the banks were foreclosing on properties just like they are today. It was actually a very similar market as it is today.
And what time frame was that?
This is back in the early 90s, like 1990.
Okay.
So I did the rehab on the property. He asked me if I wanted to buy it because he knew I was broke, but he asked me if I wanted to rehab it, and I did. I made like $3,000 or $4,000. I thought that was great. And then the bank asked me to do another one. Oh, by the way, I had no idea how to do the rehab on the property. I did it in shop at class. I was never good with my hands. But I realized that if I was going to get it done, I was going to have to call people that didn't know how to do it. And so it was contractors, subcontractors. And I came from such a large family. I had a couple of carpenters in the family, and I brought them over, and they helped me out as well. So that worked out pretty good. And it taught me a lesson, I didn't have to do the work on the property, and it was actually better if I didn't do the work myself on the property. So that helped. That put me in the right mindset right away. And then I remember doing my third deal for the bank, and I was realizing that not only were homeowners looking at these deals, but investors were coming in, and they were really concerned about what else was wrong with the property. So they would ask me a bunch of questions, and I would answer their questions and ask them a bunch of questions, because I got to learn that they were going to make like $20,000, $30,000, and $40,000 flipping this property or these properties, and I was making $3,000 or $4,000 rehabbing them. And I thought if I could just do what they're doing, that would make a big difference in my life.
Sure.
And so I got the Carlton Sheets course.
Oh yeah, I know it well.
So I got that course, and I actually bought it twice. The first time I didn't open it. I put it in the closet. I was too busy, just with life. And then the second time it came on TV, new and improved. I thought, I've got to definitely get the new and improved version. I got that, and that actually led me to the real estate investment group. That was about an hour from my house, and I started going to those meetings, started seeing people that were just like me doing this, and I thought, man, if those people can do this, I can do this. It was like social proof, And it took me 9 months to do my first deal, but I got my first deal done, and then within 3 months I had 3 more. Within 6 months I had 9, and within that first year I had 11 deals. It was great.
Wow. So tell us about these deals. I mean, were they single family? Did you start with the single family side of things, or you went right into multifamily properties?
Multifamilies, because I saw an interview with Harry Helmsley on TV. He was a guy that started with nothing in New York City, started buying and selling apartment buildings, small ones there, and then after a number of years ended up owning the Empire State Building. He did really, really well. And Harry on the call said he was actually being interviewed by Biography. And he said, the biographer said, Harry, what was it about apartment buildings that got you going? And Harry said, I always liked the idea that a group of people would pool their money together and give it to me to buy a property. I thought, oh, my gosh.
So true.
Yeah. They pay the mortgage every month for me. He said, not only that, they pool their money together, give it to me, and pay for the maintenance guys and the contractors to do the work on the property so I don't have to. They pay for management companies to manage them so I don't have to deal with any tenants. And he said they put so much money together that at the end of the month, there's always extra money, spendable income that I can bring to my bank account, or I can go and reinvest, or I can just go out and have some fun with. I thought, oh my gosh, there are people out there that will buy properties from you, and you get cash flow every month. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I am in. Something clicked in my head, and I decided I was going to go out and buy multifamily properties.
So can you chunk it down a little bit? I mean, there's some people listening to the call that are brand new to the business, or maybe they're in single-family homes now and are looking to make a transition. I mean, did you go out and, like, your first deal, was it an 18-unit property, a 40-unit property, or did you start smaller and kind of work your way up?
Yeah, I started small. I did a 3-unit. And actually, I did 3 to 6 units for the first 3 years because I was actually afraid to buy anything bigger. There were opportunities to buy bigger properties, but it took me 9 months to do my first deal, and finally I pulled the trigger on a 3-family, and then I started accumulating them, and I got into a comfort zone, and I didn't want to expand outside that comfort zone. I actually, within 3 years, I had gotten 40 of them. So just over 40 properties, because this system that I had created just works. You get something that works, you keep repeating it. And that's what I did. And then what happened was I'd become very wealthy in a very short period of time. I had created a $10,000 a month positive cash flow coming into that 1-bedroom apartment, and that made a pretty big difference in my life. And then I'd become a multimillionaire, most of that on paper and equity, but I had bought at the right time. I had bought during the emerging phase of the market. I didn't know it at the time that's the primary reason for my success, that and taking action. But I soon realized that what goes up must come down, and I was going to lose a lot of that equity if I didn't take it out, if I didn't either get into a cash position and wait for the market to go down and come back up again, or find another market like my Boston was when I first started investing on the downside, and then getting ready to come up. And that's what I did. I started studying everything I could about what has real estate market cycle. I quickly learned that all markets in the United States do not move at the same time. They're all in different phases of the cycle. And I started following job growth. I went down to Montgomery, Alabama. Now, I'm from Boston, but the first opportunity I saw was down in Montgomery. They were bringing in 20,000 new jobs into a city that had a barrier to entry. A barrier to entry meaning it's difficult to build new multifamily properties. And from Montgomery, it's surrounded by floodplains. And you couldn't pull permits there, and the city was already infilled. So I started buying down there, and I did very well. But the thing was I couldn't buy smaller properties. I was doing 1031 exchanges. I was taking properties with a lot of equity because I bought right, and I was moving that equity into other markets, and I was forced to buy a 40 unit first. I remember how afraid I was to go break it. So I was forced to buy a 40 and then an 80. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, it's easier to buy these larger properties. Not only is it easier to buy the larger ones, you have better management companies managing them. The banks really want to give you the money because they get a percentage of how much they loan you, so they want to do the bigger deals. The brokers are more sophisticated. And it's like, wow, it's much easier to do these bigger deals. So I just started focusing on bigger deals. After I did a 40 and an 80, my next one was a 350 unit. So I was off and running, and that was in Jacksonville, Mississippi.
Wow. I mean, so it sounds like, you came to the realization when you're up in Boston, about emerging markets. That's something that a lot of new investors, they don't realize. In fact, I mean, I'm at fault of it. I kind of lost my butt a little bit in the Florida crash back in 2005, 2006. But, a lot of people don't really know how to follow those trends or what trends to look for. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, but I mean, can you speak really quickly to what trends you learned to watch other than just job growth that took you from Boston down to Montgomery, Alabama?
Well, there's 4 phases of a market cycle, and it's kind of like a roller coaster. So if you put a graph on your paper, you make a roller coaster. And where we want to start buying is right at the very bottom. That's called the buyer's market phase 2. That buyer's market phase 2 will go about halfway up that ramp there, and that we call that a seller's market phase 1. There's a transition there, and what happens is rents increase to the point where they support new construction. So and it's a great time to buy as well. So we're buying there until it hits the seller's market phase 2, which is just about past 3/4 of the way up there. Now that is the sell signal. That's when you got to get out. And a lot of people don't realize that is the sell signal because they don't see it. They hear the media say, "Oh my gosh, real estate's so great. Everybody's buying and they're making a fortune. Waitresses are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Taxi drivers are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're at a time when you should be out of the real estate market. When you get into a taxi and the taxi driver says, "Oh yeah, this is my day job. I'm really a real estate investor." It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that because I should have saw that sign. I was at an Olive Garden restaurant years back and overheard the waitress telling a story about how she made $30,000 on a flip.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But
what the true sign is? The true sign is when the average days on the market that it takes for a property to get under contract surpasses 7 to 10. Then it's time to move out of the market. That's one of them. There's a couple others. Another one is if you're tracking job growth, which you should. Job growth is the primary mover of markets, although there are other criteria. That is one of the primary ones. When job growth starts to become stagnant, or if it starts to decline, and when the number of properties that come onto the market increase by 10% over the previous month. Those are all big, red warning flags saying, get out of this market.
Interesting. Okay, so you guys right now, I mean, you're kind of following that trend then. I mean, you guys are buying and selling. You're not just buying to hold long term. I mean, that is not your strategy. You're selling when the markets are at their peak, when you know that they might take that cycle back downwards. I mean, is that kind of what you're following?
Well,
okay.
We're in 18 different markets right now. So every market is on a different cycle. Some of them are similar because we own a bunch in Texas, and they kind of run similar, but we own in Louisiana, we own in Florida, we own in Ohio, we still own up here in Boston. So every market is in its own cycle. So depending on where it is in the cycle, we're going to either buy or sell. So typically the average buy cycle lasts between 3 and 7 years. Depends on how dynamic the market is.
So I have to ask you, why not thousands of single-family homes instead of apartments? I mean, why wouldn't you guys just go out and buy? I mean, there's all these big investment groups out there, these institutional funds that are buying all these single-family homes. Obviously, they're intelligent individuals. It seems like they may be making the right decisions. Or, why haven't you guys followed that pattern and went out and bought a bunch of single-family homes instead of apartments?
Because they're a pain in the ass. How's that?
No, I agree with you.
the hedge funds are buying the single-family properties. They're basically doing an interest rate play. So they're buying, where interest rates are so low that appreciation itself, and when interest rates rise, is going to rise that market. And it's a smart play when you're buying a lot of properties. But when you're an investor and you've got, let's say that compare 100-unit multifamily to 100 single-family units. I mean, look at all the roofs that need to be repaired or replaced sometime in the future. Maybe the near future, maybe farther off in the future. But you get a 100-unit property, you probably have like 7 or 8 roofs. And 100 unit, you get 100 roofs. you got 100 buildings that have 4 different walls that are going to need to be painted sometime, or some sort of exterior work. You've got your tenants scattered out everywhere on your single-family properties, whereas your multi, you get them all together in the same spot. And then your maintenance. You got 100 units all spread out, around the city, and you've got maintenance guys who are spending a lot of time going from one place to another, whereas you have a staff on site at your 100 unit. The economies of scale favor owning. The more units you have, one of my mentors told me a long time ago, he said, because I had a decision to make. I had sold the property, I had a bunch of money, and I said, Mark, should I go out and buy 3 or 4 3 to 6 unit properties, or should I get a 10 unit? This is my first thought of going into a 10 unit. He said, Dave, you always buy the most units you can under one roof. And I said, why is that, Mark? He said, because of the economies of scale. You're going to make more money doing that, and your money's safer. And, that's what I started doing. So we started, as soon as we did, we just ramped ourselves up 40 to 80 to 350, and then our sweet spot is somewhere between 150 to 250 units.
Okay, I was about to ask you that question. What is your sweet spot? So 150 to 250.
Here's the other thing with single family, though. There are not a lot of good management companies that manage single family properties, and the reason being is they just don't make money doing it. Management companies are paid based on a percentage of cash flow. There's not a lot of cash flow in a single family property. So what does that mean? That means the investor, me being the investor, or anybody listening being the investor, would have to manage all of those properties themselves. That's it. What would you rather do, manage a property or go out and find more deals where you're creating more equity?
Right, absolutely. Find more deals.
That's where your time is better well spent, being a true investor. Let the managers manage the properties. You find the good ones. There's a great website out there called IREM, IREM.org, and they have people pass these tests to get designations. One's a CRM and the other is an ARM. They have to go to these 5 different classes. They're all week long. They got to pass 5 different tests, and then they get their designation. So, in every major city in U.S., you can go on that website and you can find the people that have passed these tests. They have their contact information right there. So that's what we do. We go into a new market. We go on the RM website. We contact 3 or 4 of the agents, and then we ask them a bunch of questions. And whoever we get the best gut feeling from, that's who we go with. And then we typically, in most cases, we have a good quality manager managing our property, taking away all of the headaches of landlords dealing with tenants and all that other crap.
Right. So, I mean, some multifamily investors like yourself kind of take the path of creating their own internal management company. You guys have gone the route of finding a third-party management source, correct?
Well, this is what happened. This is my life as a multifamily owner. When I first started, I did not heed the advice of my mentor, Mark, and I'm sure people have gotten good advice in the past and not taken it. And I did. He told me, don't be a landlord. Be an investor. And of course, me being Swedish and very frugal, I was taught that by my dad, very conservative. I saw the 10% for these smaller properties going to the management companies. On the larger properties, it's a lot less, but 10% of the cash flow going to the management company. And I thought I could save that and manage myself. So I did for the first 2 or 3 years, and it almost drove me out of the business. It made me crazy. And then finally, I got a book called E-Myth Revisited, talks about how to create systems. I created systems, I handed it off to somebody else, and I was free. I went from owning 101 units to owning over 2,000 units in the same amount of time, because now I could spend my time doing more deals. So that was good.
So you've never looked back from that point on. I mean, you guys haven't ever considered bringing it back in-house.
Well,
it's always
let me tell the rest of the story. So that was phase 1. Then phase 2, we get up to 3,000 units. All right, now that's called. So we had a third-party management company managing our properties. So now we're pretty big. We're substantial. We got 3,000 units out there, and when you want immediate action on your sites, sometimes you have a decision to make. At about 3,000 units, 2,500 to 4,000 units, you have a decision to make. Do I keep this as third party, or do I bring it in-house? Can I more efficiently run my properties by bringing it in-house? But my decision to whether or not I was going to bring it in-house was, could I find a good manager, a CEO, to actually run that company? So if I did bring it in-house, I am not a property manager. That's just another business that I have where I have somebody else run it. So that's what we did. We actually went out and hired a guy that had been managing 10,000 units, a 10,000-unit portfolio, because that's what our goal was to get to 10,000 units. So we figured we'd pay the extra money up front, meaning his salary, to buy a guy that knew how to do this, and then he could carry this company along the way, and that's what we did. So now we have our own third-party management company, but I don't deal with it at all. The president over there runs it.
So do you manage only your own properties, or have you actually gone out and started managing other operators' properties as well?
We just do our own. We could do that, but when I was smaller and I was in those first 3 years when I created all these systems and created my own, or I handed off these systems to somebody else to manage. I thought, hey, if we can manage our own properties, we can manage somebody else's too. So we started managing other people's 3 to 6 unit properties. That lasted for 6 months. 6 months later, we gave them back to the owners. Like, this is not what we want to do.
I followed that same path for a very short period of time and came to the same conclusion. So it's definitely not enough money for the headaches involved. So.
Okay.
So give us, I mean, if you wouldn't mind just taking a minute or two and just walk us through one of your typical deals. I mean, maybe pick the last deal or the last couple deals and just give us an idea of what you guys look for in terms of, the class of the deal. Is it a C-class property in a B area? How you go in there, what you do to raise the value of it. Just can you walk us through that real quick?
Sure. So at this particular point, we're looking for properties that are 150 units plus, and we like B-class properties. So with multifamily, there are A, B, C, and D. Now, that's not to say we won't flip smaller properties, which we still do right here in our own backyard. We'll buy and flip smaller properties. And
what does that mean, smaller properties? I mean, what will you guys do that's close to home? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even we'll do 20s and 40s and 80s as well. But, my area is full of 36, Boston and Brockton and all these cities. There's so many different tenant buildings built here during the 1800s and early 1900s that there's a lot of deals. So, I mean, if I already got the contacts in place, let's flip them and put a check in our bank account. So we do that. But we're really focused on buying these larger ones now. So it's 150-plus units because that's where the economies of scale starts really being in your favor. They're B-class properties, A being the best, D being the worst. Bs are actually properties that you don't get as much cash flow as the Cs, but there's less headache and there's a lot more appreciation than the C properties. So we learned that lesson as well because we bought a bunch of Cs at the beginning. They need to be in emerging markets that have 2% year-over-year job growth or more, and markets that have 2% year-over-year household formation or more. Those are our two big criteria. And then we're looking to do some sort of value add. We're looking to go into the property, maybe repaint the exterior of the property, do minor roof repairs, do a big upgrade in the landscaping because landscapings really make these things pop. We'll restripe the parking lot. We'll improve the signage. Then we'll make the leasing office look really, really nice. We'll get an interior designer in there. We'll make the common areas look really well. And then for the units themselves, we typically add anywhere between $600 to $1,000 per door. And that is meaning we're going to put in carpet, paint, or some sort of, they're minor cosmetic repairs. So we're looking for a property that's really, if it's a B property, it's built within the last 20, 25 years. It's in pretty good shape. For some reason, the ownership has had the property drop below 90. We like to get these things at 86 to 88% occupancy. And by making these changes, we've stopped the back door for the people from moving out because they're unhappy about something. We've cosmetically improved it, and then the new people coming in are going to pay the higher market rents. The previous owner couldn't get market rents because there was something wrong with the property, and that's why they were seeing occupancy decrease. So we're able to get the higher market rents from the new tenants, and then when the existing tenants are renewing, then we're getting higher market rents from them as well because they see the improvements. They see that the management is now customer focused or tenant focused. And then within a year or 18 months, we're able to either refinance that property or sell it for a nice profit.
Okay.
That's our MO right now. I call that a micro repositioning, and we're really good at that.
So what is your typical hold time? I mean, the turn and hold time is about 18 months. Is that pretty standard?
It's really 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
When we do micro repositionings in a market that we don't want to be in, that's going to be a hold time of 12 to 18 months because it's a good deal, but it's not in a market that we're excited about, so we're not going to hold it long term. But if it's, we like to do micro repositionings in these markets that are emerging, and then typical emerging time is 3 to 5 years.
Well, it sounds a little contradictory. Can you elaborate a little bit more on, so you have some of these micro deals that you just get in and turn, you're in and out in 18 months because they're not markets you want to be in. Is it because they're not emerging markets, or is it just there's something particular about that market that you just don't like?
Let me give you an example. So I get this call like a year and a half ago, and it's a property in Indianapolis. And Indianapolis is a very slow-moving market. And back about a year and a half ago, it's starting to move a lot faster right now for that market, not compared to the West and East Coast markets. But so I get this deal on the east side, and the east side is the good side over there. The west side's the bad side. And it's a repositioning. It's a deal that kind of like I just described. The owner became an absentee owner. Different things weren't taken care of. Tenants got upset, and they started moving out, and the rent started to lower and all that. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good deal. The deal was brought to me by a student also. I thought, well, that's a pretty good deal, and you get this thing up and running again. It's going to cash flow, except I'm not really excited about that market. I mean, there's not a whole lot of appreciation. And with multifamily, you're going to get cash flow, and that's going to help you to do the things that you want to do today, quit your job, go on nice vacations, not worry about money, basically. But it's really the appreciation that makes you wealthy, and that's what we look for. We look for properties that we can get an appreciation pop with, and in a market that's going to give us an extra appreciation pop. So we get the appreciation pop with this property in Indianapolis, but that's as far as we're going to get. We did the value add. We raised the cash flow, which meant we raised the value of the property. But since the market wasn't moving that fast and rents weren't increasing in the market, that's about as far as we were going to go. So we could either hold it for cash flow, or we could cash out of the deal, take that money, and move it into another market that is emerging, and then put it to work and have that market appreciation work for us.
Right. That makes sense. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing great. I mean, you're finding great deals. And, there was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which you kind of already answered, is now the right time to buy? I mean, or have we kind of missed the boat? I mean, are there still good deals out there? Well, you've already proven that there's still good deals out there, and I think there's always going to be good deals. It just it depends on what a good deal means to you. But with that being said,
in this market right now, it's just a great time to buy. This market is
right.
the beginning of its legs. There's some artificial demand going on up there, like the hedge funds and demand from outside of the country through these foreigners that want to put their money safely in the U.S., and they know that U.S. real estate right now is selling at like 60 cents on the dollar. So they're all excited. So they're creating an artificial demand. But we're really early in this market correction. So it's a great time to be out there buying. That being said, of course, you need to buy the right property in the right area at the right time.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
How are you guys finding your best deals? I mean, is it brokers? Are you doing large direct mail campaigns? Is it just a matter of word of mouth networking because you guys are players in the industry? Or, I mean, what are the best ways to find deals nowadays?
We're doing direct mail, and we're also we have a lot of broker contacts. And broker contacts are important. This is a relationship business, so the better your relationships, the better your business is going to be.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That completely makes sense. Well, I mean, how about funding? I mean, so people are listening to this call, they're like, okay, that's great. I mean, Dave's doing these huge, 150, 250 space deals. I'm new to the business, or, maybe I own a couple properties. I own single family. Maybe I own a 12 unit, something like that. But how does one put the money together to do these big deals that doesn't have a track record? Or maybe they have a small track record. They've only done small deals, but they find a great deal. It's 150 units, got a ton of upside and a great emerging market. Where does the money come from?
You want to go to where the businessmen are. Go to the BNI networking groups. Go to the Citrus Club groups. Go to anywhere there's an organization, the Chamber of Commerce, that business people go and they hang out, because these people, they're successful. They know what's going on in the real estate market. They don't have time to invest themselves, and they love when investors come in and talk about what they do. And that's where we get the majority of our funds.
That's where you guys get your funds. I mean, so are you primarily syndicating your deals? I mean, can you give us a little bit of background on exactly how you guys package your deals up for investors?
Well, we create a property package.
Okay.
It just basically explains the deal itself, where it's located, why it's a good deal, why the market's a good market to be in, and who's on our team. One of the most important things is who's on your team. Everybody knows that you don't do this alone. You create a team around you.
Give us an idea what that team consists of. I mean, for someone that's getting into the business, new to the business, I mean, if you could pick the top 7 people that you should have on your team, or maybe it's 10, can you just give us a quick overview of who they are?
Who your partners are, and why they're good at what they do. And usually there's a numbers guy and there's a marketing guy if there's a partnership. And then you have your attorney, you have your brokers, of course. You have your insurance guy. You have your construction guy. You have your management companies. Those are the main people on your team. You have your mortgage lender on your team.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people should be in the business for years and be passionate about what they do.
Okay. So being new in the business, I mean, ideally, would you suggest going out and trying to find someone that has a track record themselves, and trying to bring them as part of your team. And that way, when you find that first deal, you can maybe cut them in on some of the equity, but at least you've got someone on your team that has a track record and can has a proven success in multifamily investing.
Is that your team members in on your deals?
Okay.
They know they're going to be getting business. Now, if you're new and you want to get an experienced partner on your team, then you would share equity with them. That might be a smart thing to do at the beginning.
Okay, fair enough.
But you can certainly do it on your own. Many people do.
Okay. Well, Dave, I mean, you've shared a ton of knowledge with us today, and I know you have. I mean, you've got so many great things. You got your website, RE Mentor, and you've got a ton of resources on there. You do a lot of live trainings, boot camps on multiple different topics. You got some home study courses. Your blog is just chock full of awesome content. So kudos to that, man. You put some great articles up there. Your newsletter is fantastic. You offer private coaching. So can you elaborate a little bit more on the different trainings and resources that you offer through your organization?
Yeah, we have some core trainings. We have our home study system called Apartment House Riches, and that takes you basically, I give you all the systems that I use to grow to 7,000 units. And then if you want some live training, we have a boot camp called Multifamily Millions, where you're in a room of a bunch of other people that are doing the same thing that you're about to do as well, so you can network with them. I've been doing teaching now for 10 years, so I get a lot of alumni students that come back, and they hang out. They're either looking to partner with newer students because they know they're being trained properly, or they're looking to sponsor newer students by giving them money that they've made in order to get out there and make some more money for themselves. So that's a pretty exciting boot camp. We've got coaching programs. If somebody wants one-on-one coaching, we offer that as well, and that's the gist of it. That's what we do. We take you from where you are now, where you want to be, and depending on what level of education you want, we supply it.
Okay,
all
great.
Real-world experience of what's going on now in the marketplace. Because, I get over 7,000 units. I've got 171 employees in my real estate company. I have 33 employees in my education company, by the way. And
wow.
We've been at this for 10 years, and we've got this office is full of. It's 12,000 square feet, and it's full of testimonials from students that have just taken the information, gone out and done it.
Okay, fantastic. And all this information can be found on rementor.com, correct?
Yeah, rementor.com or creativesuccessalliance.com. Those are both companies.
And I think you've actually got a boot camp coming up here soon, I think in the Tampa, Orlando market.
Yeah, if anybody wants to know more about that, you can just call the office. Talk to my mom. My mom works here in the office. Her name is Barbara. Yeah, but the number is 781-878-7114.
Okay, and I'm sure you still have some spots available for that boot camp that's coming up.
Yeah,
for people that are on.
They sell out about 45 days beforehand, but we just had another group move to the next boot camp, so we've got a few seats available.
Okay, great. Well, David, we really appreciate the time you spent with us today. Before we go, I was wondering if you could just leave our listeners with if you could pick one golden nugget of advice, that may inspire and help them as they progress in their real estate investing career. What would that one golden nugget be?
It's easy. It's take action. Because you can have all the skill, you can have all the knowledge, but if you're not taking action, you're not in business. It's just as simple as that. And to be a real estate investor, you got to be putting in offers. If you're not putting in offers on a regular basis, I tell all my students we do 2 and 2. Every week they put in 2 offers. Every week they get themselves into 2 networking situations where they're exposed somehow to private money, whether it be a social thing or whether it's a business group type of a thing. But you just do the 2 and 2, and you cannot help but be successful.
All right. Fantastic. Well, thank you again, David. And to learn more about David and his trainings and resources, please go visit www.rementor.com. And David, thank you again for your time today, and you have a great week.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well, all right then. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from David as much as I enjoyed speaking with him. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's really done a lot in the past 10 years. And literally went from a broke landscaper, kind of working job to job, to now owning over 7,000 apartment doors and multiple other commercial investment properties. He's really out there making it happen. And, you could easily be on that same path. But in order to do so, you need to get the right education. And a good start is downloading my free guide that I've created for you guys. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Successful Multifamily Investors. And you can download that guide by going to kevinbupp.com/guide. In the guide, it will provide you with the 7 habits that I believe you need to learn to live by in order to become a successful, whether it's multifamily or commercial real estate investor. It's those key principles you can apply to whether you're investing in multifamily apartments, industrial buildings, assisted living facilities, whatever it may be. And this week, before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to Dustin White from Miami, Florida, for downloading the free guide. Dustin, you're one step ahead of everyone else out there just by downloading the guide. Now you'll know the proper steps that you need to take in order to excel your commercial real estate investing career. And guys, just so you know, this podcast is only as good as you listeners. So if you enjoyed what you've listened to and you like the content and you want to hear more good content, please go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And if you have another minute, just write a quick review. We'd really appreciate it. It really helps us grow this podcast and grow our community. And we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So, and one last thing before you go, I've got a special feature on my website, and I've put this there specifically for you listeners. And if you go to kevinbupp.com, you'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a red button that says Send Voicemail. And I've put that there so that if you have any questions, anything whatsoever relating to real estate investment, I want you to go in there and leave a voicemail for me, and I will respond to you. I will call you back, or I'll feature you on the show, and I'll answer your question. But it's free of charge. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I don't have a product that I'm going to try to upgrade you or upsell you on. So it's just there to help you out. I want to help build a community and answer any questions that you have, and kind of give back and pay it forward by helping you in your real estate investing career. So that's it, guys. Thanks again. And as always, go make some cash flow happen.
Congratulations! Now you've got more of the best tricks of the trade in building massive amounts of passive income from real estate. For more amazing resources, visit realestateinvestingforcashflow.com. And we'll see you next Monday morning.